In this episode, I give you a state of the union. What's it like to be a fractional CMO right now? What's working right now to win clients? And what do business owners need to see from you to choose you over another candidate? I also share the trends that I'm seeing in the fractional CMO landscape. And I think this is a really important webinar for you to listen to. I recorded this live. It's a long one. We did it 2 hours long. I had about an hour of presentation and then about an hour of Q&A afterwards. So tune in, learn something, and I hope you make the decision to become a fractional CMO. And if you are a fractional CMO, I hope this emboldens you to stay on the course so that you can spend more time, get better, win better clients, and really build a business that takes care of you and your family. All right, enjoy it. Marketers of the world, why do we work hard to solve small problems? Why do we reinvent ourselves and our clients over and over? And why are we giving away marketing strategy for free? With advancements in AI, we're all seeing the marketing department shrink from the bottom up. And companies need you to serve them as their fractional chief marketing officer. It's time to solve bigger problems and bring home a bigger paycheck. It's time to create the lifestyle we deserve and to make a greater impact. This is the Fractional CMO Show, and I'm Casey Stanton. Join me as we explore this growing industry and learn to solve bigger problems as marketing leaders. The Fractional CMO Show is sponsored by CMOX, the #1 company to teach you how to attract, convert, and serve high-paying fractional CMO clients on your terms. So I want you to take notes. I want this to be a learning moment. Like, there's two things that we can do in life when it comes to like information. One is we can watch Netflix and we can just like hang out and we can just like passively, absorb some of the stuff and forget most of it. And that's definitely something you can do here. Or you can be a bit more active and you can take notes and you can write down the ahas and you can write down if this is a thing for you or not. Because by the end of this, I want to make a really clear offer to you to like be a fractional CMO or don't. And I want to give you the opportunity to let go of this idea of being a fractional CMO if it's not for you. And if it is for you, I want to show you why now is really the absolute best time to build your fractional CMO practice, to win your first client or win your next client. I think it's a really important conversation that we're getting into. So with that, I'm going to start my slides. Welcome to State of the Union. All right, let's just dive in. I'm going to share some information and then we'll transition to open Q&A. I'll answer any questions that y'all have, and I'm here just to be helpful. I really want you to win in this. I think that there is an opportunity here for us to help more people than anything else we can really do. I think that's like a really magical thing. And we can do it while making a bunch of money and helping our communities and people that we love and stuff like that. So let's dive in. All right. So it was March 11th, 2020, and the world began to shut down. You might remember this. I got a call from my buddy who owned an SEO firm. Hey man, did your clients cancel on you today too? He was upset. He had a family to take care of. But me, I was okay. My wife was pregnant when we had just moved to Philadelphia, and I was worried about what would happen. Yet I was surprised. Throughout the height of the pandemic, my clients didn't push me away. As a fractional CMO, they pulled me in closer. So while companies started mass layoffs, especially in their marketing departments, as a fractional CMO, I was needed more than ever. My clients needed me to figure out how to keep their business afloat. That's the moment I realized the difference between being a vendor and being a leader inside the company. You see, vendors get cut and leaders, they get kept. And today's environment feels a bit like early 2020. Maybe you're feeling it too. This time, it's not a virus, it's AI. And the market is shifting. For most folks, they're not paying attention to what's happening below the surface. And as a result, they're going to be caught off guard. In our limited time together today, I want to share what I'm seeing and how you can win your first or your next fractional CMO client so that you can have a business that provides for you and your family. Maybe you want to own a home, right? You want to like have a real lifestyle. Maybe one that gives you freedom so that you can travel or play. Maybe some of you have family members with special needs and you want to spend more time with them, or your parents are aging and you want to spend more time with them. You want some sense of freedom. You want something that pays you well and keeps you relevant in a time of great uncertainty. And I think relevance is big. One of the things I hear from our CMOs, especially our older CMOs inside of the CMOX Accelerator, is that they find relevancy, like they're wanted, they're useful. I think it's like all of our fear, if we really kind of consider it, that as we get older, we become less relevant. We talk about the olden days and we're not actually useful today. By being a fractional CMO, you're useful now. Today, I'll share what I'm seeing in the market, and I'll give you the brain upgrade you need to skate where the puck is going. I love that Wayne Gretzky's father's quote, don't skate where the puck is, skate where the puck's going. Being a fractional CMO is where the market is heading. But first, if you guys don't know me, I know a lot of y'all are new here. You might be wondering, who the heck is this guy and why should I listen to him? And that's a fair thing to ask. It all started back in 2017. So here I was living in an RV, a 25-foot Coachman Freedom Express. My girlfriend Adelaide and I at the time had left New Orleans, where we kind of met and were living. We got this RV and we drove around the country for 2 years while I was working at a marketing agency. And we got married in 2018 in February. But in December 10th of 2017, I had this idea. What if, instead of working at the agency, what if I was the CMO for multiple companies? That sounds interesting. I didn't know it was called a fractional CMO. I didn't invent the term, but I just thought I want to be well paid and stick around with these clients. Then a couple months later, in July of 2018, I got my first kind of offer. Someone wanted to hire me. Now this came in from a guy that I knew. A guy named Jason said, "Hey, I want you. I'm in need of a CMO for a fast growing business. I'd love to hear about your services." We talked the next day and I closed him on a $7,500 a month engagement. That was in 2018. So while I was living full-time on the road, I built my fractional CMO practice up to $46,500 a month. It's $500,000. It was awesome. That didn't come without problems. I built it up to about $23,000 and then I lost everything kind of overnight. I had a contract that just kind of reached its expiration. And then I had another deal that I was working that I was supposed to stick around for a long time. I flew out to California. I met if you can meet that person. I flew out to California and I met the board of directors, the chairman, at his place. It was crazy. It was in the Oppenheimer building in Beverly Hills, and out back was the gravestones of Hugh Hefner and Rodney Dangerfield. It's just a wild place. Marilyn Monroe, very strange. So I'm there and I pitch this guy and he's like, "I love it." And he shakes my hand. The CEO's like, "You did a great job. We're locked in for the next year." Little did I know that when I got home and told my then wife, my newlywed wife, everything would fall apart and I lost all that business. So there I go from $23,000 a month, boom, down to just a couple $1,000s a month. And it hurt. And I worked to build that back up to that $46,500 a month mark. That's when I knew I made it. When I doubled that previous best, and I did it not based on the relationships I had, but being able to talk to strangers and really build a pipeline that wasn't based on the people I had already known. When my buddy called me to check in during March of 2020, they asked me if I would hire them. They're like, "Hey, dude, I lost my business, my SEO firm, my PPC firm. Oh, I'm a funnel builder, and I lost all my business because previously I worked at an agency and I was a contractor. So we were all kind of contractors, and we all, kind of felt when the market would shift, we'd all kind of get impacted." And I realized that they didn't really want to hire me. They didn't want me to hire them. They wanted to have their own fractional CMO practice. They wanted what I had. They didn't want to be my employee. So I want to ask you, do you want to be an employee, or do you want to own your own company? It's a difference here. And being an employee comes with a feeling of security. Owning your own company allows you to maybe make more money, have more freedom, but it does come at some risk. And I want you to write in the chat, tell me, do you lean towards the safety and security of being an employee? Or do you lean more towards owning your own business? Where are you at on that? Own? Yeah, sweet. Dana, you've been for 19. Michaela, own your own business? Yeah, sweet. So some of you want to own it. I love it. And I think being an employee sounds great, but when I think of being an employee, I think of my dad. I think of my dad at IBM for 25 years and then having a pension. That doesn't exist today. The freedom and the security that we get as an employee, I don't think really exists anymore today. We're seeing mass layoffs happening. I mean, we're even seeing it Meta, they laid off their AI team because it wasn't their super intelligence AI team. So just the run-of-the-mill cutting edge AI team got laid off. So if you want to own your own business and you want to do this thing on your own and you want to be able to stand up by yourself, in the US, we worry about things like health insurance. Let me just tell you, it sucks. I think our health insurance market is terrible. It's frustrating, but it's a small price to pay for freedom. So often that is the thing that stops people from moving from being an employee to being on their own. It's health insurance, or it's convincing their spouse that it's worth the risk. And if it's health insurance, I'll just tell you, it sucks. You're right. But honestly, it's a margin of error. I was talking to one of our members today, and she was telling me about a deal that she had just pitched. And I said, "What'd you pitch it at?" And she goes, "I don't remember. It was 10,000 or maybe 12,000. I don't know." It's a margin of error, and that's per month. So when you think of numbers like that, the annoyance of a $600 a month health insurance plan kind of goes out the window, right? You can kind of factor that in as just like a little bit of like a little bump that you put on your rates to cover those fees. All right. So I launched CMOX ultimately to train other CMOs. That's what I was doing. Years ago, I was a professor at Tulane University when I was in New Orleans. I was an adjunct professor, and I had a lot of fun teaching, and I really enjoyed the marketing stuff and being a fractional CMO. So it kind of just made sense for me to build CMOX into a training and coaching community. So while serving, like currently, I serve 2 to 3 clients at a time. Like I'm still in the game. I'm still a fractional CMO. So a little bit more about me. I've trained over 450 skilled marketers to be CMO. I really love marketing. I love playing with AI and tech. I like to nerd out on this stuff, but I also like to get good results for my clients and help them. I live here in Philadelphia, just in like the Chestnut Hill area. I've got a wife and 2 kids. So let's get into the details of what I'm seeing and what might be useful for you. I'm sorry, before you do that, just quick notes. I wrote the Wall Street Journal bestselling book, The Fractional CMO Method. And I released that a couple years ago. And then I wrote another book called Find Your CMO. And released those. I have the #1 podcast for fractional CMOs called The Fractional CMO Show. So I've been in this game. I really just like live in it. I love the fractional CMO space. I'm also the co-founder of a sister company that we call CTOX. Those are Chief Technology Officers. And we've got some heavy hitters over there. I obviously need a co-founder because I'm not a CTO myself, but I'm such a believer in the fractional CMO and therefore fractional CTO model that we built that second company. And I've got a great team over there. My co-founders, Lior and Marisa. So let's talk about what I'm seeing in the market. So first thing, this is big. Data is suggesting that 30% of the C-suite will be fractional by 2030. It's 2026. We're talking in 4 years, a third of the C-suite will be fractional. The current estimates are 30 to 40%. I'm going to call it 30%. I'm going to say it's going to be smaller. 30% are going to be fractional. That's wild. Next, there's plenty of boring businesses that need a fractional CMO. I love this part. We have folks that come in and they're like, I try to talk to them about what niche they want to be in. And they say, oh, Casey, I really want to be in like B2B SaaS, or I want to be in like this really cutting edge AI thing. And that's definitely an opportunity. But then there's also people that just want to be in boring businesses that are going to be around for a long time, like HVAC or window washing. Or we have a member who has a client in the Netherlands that have robotic ship hull cleaners, where they drive like these little submarines that attach themselves to the side of a shipping, like a container ship, and they clean the boat. And they do it with kind of like robotics and dudes wearing goggles and stuff. Kind of a boring business. You know, it's not sexy. It's not cutting edge. It's not athletic greens. You know, it's like boring businesses that are going to be around for a long time. Those businesses still need a fractional CMO more than ever before. The average hourly rate that's kind of reported is $213 an hour. And I think that that's probably false. So many people that I talk to who call themselves fractional CMOs, maybe they make that, but I honestly don't believe them, because they're working more hours. They're not disclosing accurately really what they're doing. They're selling project-based work. It's just not the same. Inside the CMOX Accelerator, our members tend to do $350. It's like some of the work is $250 an hour. Some of the work is $700 an hour. You kind of fall around $350 an hour. It's kind of like how it shakes out. These are for the people that have multiple clients. Selling project-based work feels easier, but it makes life so much harder. I see this issue with folks leaving kind of a corporate job. They're going to go sell project-based work, and they're going to go work for 60 days, and that's going to be their off-ramp out of their 9-to-5 employment. And that work gets completed in 60 days, and then they find themselves kind of screwed. Over time, my engagements are much longer. I just signed an engagement in November for 3 years, and I run with the company to exit, and at exit, I make a bunch of money. That's a long-term commitment with a client. That's what I want you to be able to have too, because project-based work just sucks. Also, I don't think you should serve more than 3 to 5 clients. We've got a newer member, and he's got a number of clients. He loves it, maybe because he's crazy. Some of his clients he just kind of coaches, and that feels good to him. But if you actually want to have like depth and build a team, 3 to 5 clients is where you want to be. And honestly, I think 3 is a good number. I think of Dunbar's number. If you want to kind of get nerdy, Dunbar's number states that you can keep about 150 people in your mind, in your memory, to be able to have a meaningful interaction with. Like I can bump into someone at the co-op that's, getting their milk sandwich, and I can have a reasonable conversation about them, ask them about their kids, kind of remember stuff about them. You can do about 150 people in your life at one time. That's what Dunbar's number is. Some of you more, some of you less. But when you add more clients and you have teams and vendors and the sales team and the CEO and the HR person, it just starts to overload the brain. And I think it becomes hard. You start missing things. You say the wrong thing to the wrong person. It just doesn't work out. So 3 clients is my ideal. I think you can move up to 5 if you need to. I'd rather just charge more to fewer clients than have more clients. Here's an adoption life cycle of the fractional CMO. This is something I put together with the best data that I have. And if you look at it, I think this is reasonably accurate. I started way back here, 2017, 2018, where like no one heard of a fractional CMO. There like really was no one around doing fractional CMO stuff. And then we have seen things shift. Right now, between 2022 and 2024, we saw a doubling of people who list themselves as fractionals on LinkedIn. They went from 60,000 to 120,000 over a 2-year period. And I still think we're early. I mean, if you talk to someone in the business space and you say, yeah, I'm doing this fractional CMO thing, they're like, the fractional what? Like, what are you talking about? I think we're still really, really early. And I don't think we're early for a lot of other stuff. Are we early for AI and marketing? Yeah, but I think for being a fractional CMO, this is probably the most poignant place to be, is like in this early part of the adoption curve. Also, agencies are losing their role. Man, I had some fun today playing with Moltbot. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was called Claudebot. Excuse me. Claudebot spelled funny, but I think they had a cease and desist. So now it's a Moltbot. This is like an AI agent that runs locally and you have it do stuff and it ties in with MCPs and APIs and all that stuff. Very cool. We can nerd out about that if you wanted, but I want to say like that is fundamentally changing the utility of agencies. Claude Code, changing the usefulness of agencies. Young people in Africa getting online for the first time. They say like there's the rising billion. There's a group of people in Africa who haven't been on the internet. And these Africans are getting cell phones and they're getting on the internet and then they're wanting to make money and they're going on Upwork or they're going on Fiverr and they're starting to offer services and they're willing to take a much lower rate because they have so much more buying power with that American dollar in their local currency. So you can hire someone that's like smart and hardworking that might not be all that experienced, but they're connected to a $20 a month LLM and they can do incredible stuff. So I'm seeing agencies really start to go down in their usefulness. They can't charge the same thing they charged before. Back when I worked at an agency, before I did the fractional CMO stuff, we would charge $195 an hour at the agency and we would write emails for folks. And I was billing, 45 minutes, 60 minutes to write an email. I think a client today, they're not spending $200 for an email. They want 20 emails for $200 and they want them all to be perfect. And it's easy to do because of like Claude and Chat and that kind of stuff. But I think we're seeing agencies are losing their margins and they're losing their relevance. Ultimately, the market is changing. This is a big thing. There's AI slop. And AI slop is everywhere. AI slop is, I'm in a private group, a WhatsApp group, and I asked a question and a guy replied to me with AI. It's just like loss of trust, loss of respect for the guy. He gave me AI slop. It was a dumb answer, right? We see a lot of that stuff. But then we see ads that are AI slop that kind of trick you because as a marketer, you're like, this feels off, but everything looks okay. Like the headline is reasonably persuasive and the body copy makes sense and the image relates and it goes to a landing page, but something feels off about it. And it's not that the person in the image has 6 fingers on one hand. It's not that there's a M dash, but there's just like a feeling to it that's just off. We're seeing a lot of AI slop, which makes our life harder. When there's a proliferation of noise, it's hard to hear a signal. And our job is to be the signal. So the market is shifting dramatically. We're finding people in countries that otherwise weren't competing in US markets, now competing in US markets with AI. And they kind of look good from the outside. But once you get under the hood, you realize that it's just, a prompt in ChatGPT. Also, I'm seeing like a lot of businesses are measuring their results as being busy. Like it looks good to be busy in marketing. And you're not like companies aren't getting marketing to generate an actual outcome. Leads, MQLs, SQLs, pipeline, closed won deals, cash flow, none of that stuff. ROAS, that stuff isn't being measured. And I don't really understand why. It's like it is a dopamine rush for the business owner to see so many things happen because they can, because of AI, because of automation, because the barrier of entry is much lower. But the result is that it's just busy work and it doesn't deliver a result. Here's an interesting data point. 25% of the 2025 Y Combinator startup batch wrote 95% of their code with AI. If you don't know what that means, Y Combinator is like the biggest incubator for startups. And it's like where Uber went. It's where Lyft went. It's where DoorDash went. It's where Stripe went. They all started off as these like little nascent companies. Y Combinator gave them a chunk of money, took a percentage of their company, and then helped them accelerate and grow. So it really is like the bleeding edge of what's new and useful for businesses. And these startups that got into this like next cohort in 2025, 95% of their code was written with AI, a quarter of them. What's it going to be in 2026? Is that number going to be 50%, 75%? I think the answer is like, yes. Why wouldn't it be? It's weird. It's a weird time. So let's talk about the ways that AI can hurt us. I think this is one that we can think of, right? AI is going to take over the world. It's going to become sentient and it's going to control humans. I was just reading about Claude's or Anthropic, like governing principles for their AI. It's interesting, right? Like that could definitely happen. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I don't know if it will. Scenario 2 is that a single or multiple actors can leverage AI to make people do their bidding and take control of mass populations. I think this is like quite likely. You think of like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Elon Musks, they have control of these massive AIs like Manus at Meta or Grok. That's happening. But this one is the one that scares me the most. People like you outsourcing too much of your thinking to AI, and then you become weak-minded. You overly trust the LLM. I'm like trying to figure out something locally. I'm playing with some hardware at home a couple days ago, and I'm trying to connect a Wi-Fi device to a computer remotely that I have Ethernet to, and it's a tricky thing for me to solve. And ChatGPT keeps telling me it's not possible. I go take a break, put my son to bed, and then I sit and think about it. And I was like, well, why don't I do it this way? And it was like, you're a genius. I can't believe you thought of that. Like, I never thought of that idea. That would totally work. It's like I allowed myself to fall into this habit of just accepting what ChatGPT said and like being forceful and just being like, well, I guess we can't do it. And it took me some time and clarity to actually solve the problem. I catch myself becoming weak-minded. And I think you probably do too. It's like overusing the calculator and then not knowing how to multiply something by 7. So I'm afraid of this happening with AI. And that's why I've kind of been on the Luddite-ish level of AI. I love it. I play with it. I have a local model at home on a computer in my basement. I'm having fun with it, but I still think it's better to do the basics of marketing myself as much as possible so that I can remain sharp. And ultimately, the basics matter more. So UTMs and attribution matter so much. We have a member who just joined. She comes from a big .com CMO seat. You would know the company. You likely have even spent money with the company that she worked with for, I think, a decade. And she's like looking at working with a new company, and she says, they have nothing. They have no email automation. They have lead capture, but no follow-up. They have no attribution, no nothing. It doesn't matter if you're a venture-funded company or if you're doing multiple millions a year. These companies still lack the basics. They don't know what a UTM is. They can't track origination of leads and traffic sources. And therefore, they don't know what's working. Also, these marketers, they don't know the psychology of how and why customers buy. It's like they've lost this. There's a level of abstraction. It's like, oh, we're running an ad and we should run this kind of ad. Well, why? Because Alex Hormozy ran it, or because that's what Lululemon's running, or whatever. They don't understand the psychology of how and why, and they don't get these basics. Therefore, they're producing campaigns that at best are just going to be copies of others. They're never able to actively innovate and be useful. And I'll tell you this, if you can't innovate, and if you're just asking ChatGPT for the answer, the difference between you and a $20 a month LLM is a salary. There's no other difference between you. What we played with today, I had some of the members, we were hanging out, and we were playing with this Molt product. What that means for getting busy work done blows me away. It's going to be so efficient, so effective. I think it's going to really change things in my life personally. And I think for the clients I work with and for our CMOs, it's the most exciting thing I've seen in a long time. And while I say that, other people are just like going to ChatGPT, getting the answer, and then treating that as if it's canon. And it just can't be. You can't live in that world anymore. Also, you have to understand the basics of like, how does marketing and selling to large TAMs change versus small TAMs? What's a TAM? It's a total addressable market. If you've got like 1 million potential customers because you're selling socks to women, you have a different advertising approach than if you're selling a bespoke software solution to hospitals that have at least 200 beds. It's like a very different way that you approach things. Do you fundamentally understand how to do those things differently? And can you focus on those and serve your clients? So let me tell you about things you can ignore for 2026. AI commenting on LinkedIn. If you do this, AI commenting, I think you're risking your reputation. It's going to hurt you more than help you. This one made me laugh when I saw it. 9/11 was an inside job. Someone commented, and Frank Kern, a great marketer who I have a ton of respect for, but obviously using AI, said, thanks, check your DMs. Like, that's not good, right? I'm sure you all have gone on LinkedIn before and seen AI comment on AI and like have a conversation, and it just is awful. Also, you can ignore AI researching, writing, and posting content on your behalf. Like that amount of hops of like, be a tastemaker for me and do it all for me. Let me have that automation done for me. You can't do that. You got to ignore that stuff. The difference between you and AI is like experience, taste. I think taste is a big one. These things are important to be able to broadcast when you're communicating with folks. Also, should you care if there's other fractional CMOs in the same niche as you? Again, we're early. I think this is a really early time to be a fractional CMO. It's not as early as 2017, but like I still think it's quite early. It doesn't matter if you're like, Casey, I want to be a fractional CMO and I want to help trucking companies with, getting routes and loads and stuff. Like, okay, cool. Like that's a fine niche. And then you might find there's other people in that industry too. That doesn't preclude you from getting in there and winning and being the number one. A lot of people who are there likely came from that field, left a full-time job, picked up a client, maybe two. They're probably struggling and you can eat them for lunch. So I'm not worried about that. Also, you need 2 to 5 clients, 3 to 5 clients to hit your financial goals, whatever they are, $500,000 a year or more. You can do that with 3 clients, 4 clients, 5 clients. So it doesn't matter if the market has 1,000 potential clients and there's already 10 fractional CMOs there. You can still go win. You can still go clean up. Also, chasing 9 to 5 jobs. You can ignore that. If you want the freedom of being a fractional CMO, ignore the 9 to 5 job. Unsubscribe from the job board. One of our members, Lisa, talked about that. She had this moment where she said, I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm going all in on being a fractional CMO. I'm not going to run 2 places at once. It's whatever it's called. It's like chase 2 bunnies, catch none. It's like kind of what you're doing if you're running after a full-time job and you're on job boards, but then you're also doing this fractional CMO thing. So don't half-ass it, whole-ass it. Also, I don't think you're missing one trick. You're going to be sold that you're missing one trick. Like one AI hack. Oh, if you have this new AI tool, then everything's great. Or you're missing this SaaS that does all of these automations. One of the funny things in our boardroom at CMOX, so this is our most successful fractional CMOs, a guy was having a great conversation with one of his target market kind of clients, like a perfect fit. And the guy decided, I got this ad for this AI, and it's like this busty rendered image of a woman that's like a fake person AI. And the guy's like, I'm going to give her the money and she'll do all this work. It's like, you can skip all that stuff. You don't have to worry about that kind of garbage that's in the market right now. And also like high pressure tactics from salespeople. That's not the stuff that you need right now. It's the basics serving very few clients that are solving big problems. Also, you can ignore seasonality. Like there's no seasonality to your clients. Like, yes, measurably, Q4 is a great time to prospect and win clients. Absolutely. But you know what else is a good time? Q1. Q1 is a great time. Q2, great time. Q3, great time. You know what's a good time to sell? Today. It's a good time to go prospect and win business today. You don't have to live in this world of seasonality where you're going to have to wait for a specific time for something to happen. So like the job reports from the government, let's not get political, but like who cares what the job report says? Are we hiring? Are we not hiring? Is the level of immigration low and therefore the number of the growth of the population increasing, decreasing? How many new businesses are? Who cares? We're talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 clients that you need at any given time to make all the money that you need to make. That's what's available here while having all the freedom to travel and do whatever you want. So after all, being a fractional CMO is straightforward if you have a proven process to follow. Right? I'm not here to tell you like it's a complex thing. It's hard. Sometimes you have hard days. If you're juggling a lot of clients, it can take up time, but it's straightforward. It's identify the biggest problems the client has, delegate everything except leadership, and then spend your time predicting the future. What do you think is going to happen as a result of this? That's your job. You can use AI to deliver results faster. That's fine with me. I think that's a good thing to do. You can take all your notes. You could ask AI to maybe summarize some stuff and then you edit it. That's okay. As long as you're using your intellect to really navigate things. But you got to be able to sell yourself. And this is one of the things I think a lot of folks struggle with the most. They think, okay, so if you just gave me a client, I got it. I can serve them. And I'll tell you, I think that that's false. When people say that, they think that their past experience is simply enough to maintain the client. And it probably is for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. But they're not keeping that client for 3 years and getting paid out on exit, right? On top of their monthly fees. They are instead in a place where like they're not good at selling themselves, at clarifying their message, and therefore they struggle to clarify their client's message and really deliver something of value. People who say, just give me a client and I'll be good, are the same people that roll into working with a client and spend the first 90 days working on a rebrand. And the client says after those 90 days, where's the money? Like, we didn't make any more money with this. I can't justify this expense. So yes, you need to be able to sell yourself. And maybe you can sell yourself. You can sell for your clients. Like, you can maybe help them sell their stuff. But many of you probably haven't sold yourself before. You haven't sold yourself in like a package that makes sense, that gives you a boundary so you're not feeling stretched on nights and weekends. Maybe you get nervous and you tell them you'll do too much. This is a big one I see. We even have a thing that we say, like, people will say at CMOX, they'll say, oh, I'm serving a client and I close them before I join CMOX, before I followed the process. So I have two types of clients. They'll say, I've got the clients I got after CMOX and before CMOX. And the ones I got before CMOX are noisy and they underpay me. And the ones that I got after CMOX, I'm having a lot of fun, I'm making a great impact, and I'm making a lot of money. They're very different. And I think nervousness and anxiety and not knowing what you're selling comes up for folks. So having a process to be able to sell effectively means, I mean, at a minimum, it means less stress, but I think more likely it means making a lot more money and having more fun. Also, a thing that I see people do is they price themselves based on bad data or no data at all. It's like, what should I charge as a fractional CMO? They're like, I don't know. I'm just going to make it up. How's $2,000 a month sound? I don't know about you, but like $2,000 a month, I can't do much with. I can't pay my mortgage. Like, I need a little bit more money than that. So I think you have to walk your way backwards into how you price by saying, how much money do I need to have the lifestyle and freedom that I want? And then you walk into that and say, how many clients do I want? And therefore, how much per month does a client need to pay me? And therefore, what types of clients can afford to work with me? And now how do I go get those clients, win them, and service them? We're going backwards from what you need to what the market can bear, instead of saying, I'm going to close the person in front of me. That's the biggest noisemaker for folks, is they're closing the person that's talking to them, which is a girlfriend from years ago who's coming back with a new business and doesn't have any money. And you're thinking, maybe I can charge her $3,000 for a month. Like, don't do that stuff. You got to be simple. You got to be straightforward. You got to be direct and clear with yourself on what you want. And that's how you're going to have the level of success that you need. You got to be relentless at taking care of yourself by winning and competently serving high-paying clients. We don't win high-paying clients for the greed of it. I'll tell you, sometimes it's for the game of it. Okay. Sometimes it's fun. We've got a member, she's in boardroom, and we have a joke about her. She's like, oops, I went to the beach and closed a client for $10,000 a month. Oops, I fell down and made an extra $5,000 on a client. It's like, she's doing that kind of stuff. It's kind of silly, right? But generally speaking, it's about being relentless. It's saying, like, this is what I want. I'm very clear on what I want, and I'm going after it. And the folks that do that, and they kind of roll off the poor fit clients, the clients without the budget, that kind of stuff, and they focus on the clients that have the money and they can actually serve them, those are the ones that are going to win. Those are the CMOs that are going to make the money. They're going to take care of themselves. And they're not going to find themselves in like this crisis of identity saying, like, I thought I was a fractional CMO, but I can't close anything. And I'm only making $3,500 a month and I can't survive on that. You want to be able to say, like, I'm going to set out to close a client at $10,000 a month or $7,500 or $15,000 or whatever the number is for you based on your experience and what the market can bear. And also maybe a little bit of like, how much fun you want to have. That's what's going to set you apart. That's what's going to make you kind of hungry for the growth of it all. So I want to say one last thing about this. The CMOs that are successful that I see are incredible at making impact in the lives of the people around them. And this can't be understated. If you start a nonprofit, my mom's got a nonprofit. She's the executive director of it. She didn't start it. She's the executive director. And they do incredible stuff. They fill up backpacks for kids on the weekends because those kids go home and they don't have food. So there's food in the backpacks. There's like a neighborhood or neighbor assistance ministry where they have some money available that people donate and they give it out to folks. It's incredible. She helped build like 6 homes in the last year that are for low-income folks. It's really important stuff. How many lives is she impacting? A lot. I look at one of my CMOs who is serving 3 clients. And those clients have a team. Let's say each marketing department has 3 people on it. So that's 9 people, plus the CEOs. So we've got 12 people right there. they're making a direct impact on those 12 people's lives. They're making the CEO give them more freedom, get them out of the marketing seat so they can be more free to be a CEO and think big picture. They're helping the marketers do things that actually matter and get results, and they feel good and they feel proud of their work. And then they help all of the customers who buy the product or service. And I think selling a product or service that is morally neutral or positive, you have the ability to impact like an untold number of people. So if you want to work, we've got a newer member and she really wants to be in women's health. She just feels really called to women's health and she wants to work in women's health in products or service, like helping docs, like OBs, or helping with like TTC products. Really cool space to be in and meaningful. And what if she's able to get an excellent product in a woman's hand so that she can conceive a child for the first time or help them through IVF or something? Very high impact. So I talk about the money because I think it's interesting, but also the impact is not to be understated. It is, I think you'd struggle to find another role that exists that has this level of impact and leverage to really fundamentally change people's lives. And you've done it maybe previously in life when you've had a previous direct report and they call you up and they're like, "Hey, Doug, I just want to let you know I got that job. Thank you so much for coaching me." And you hadn't worked with them for 5 years, but you answered a text from them or something like that. You feel good about that stuff. When you're a fractional CMO and you build these teams, they come back to you. They want to work with you again. You might bring them on a project in a couple of years. You have like a sense of community and respect, and you're really changing people's lives. So to do this, you got to differentiate yourself. That's critical. There are twice as many fractional CMOs today as there were in 2022, probably more than twice. And anyone can call themselves a fractional whatever officer. And I see people do like the thing that grinds me is when people say, "I'm a fractional marketing leader." I don't even know what that is. No one woke up and said, "I want a marketing leader." They say, "I want a CMO." So anyone can do this. But at the end of the day, business owners want the best. Business owners come to us. They come to me. They come to my team. They say, "Hey, Casey, we're looking to hire a fractional CMO. Do you know anyone?" And we're like, "Yeah, tell me about what you're looking for." And then we grab some of our members as candidates and we say, "Hey, here's some of the folks that we have." Every single time they say, "I want the best." Who's the best? Who's the best one? And we might be able to say, "Well, we think like these three people are pretty equal. Like based on our experience, we think they're pretty great." They're like, "Okay, that's great." But no one says, "I want the cheaper one," or "I want the person that will take longer but cost less money." They say, "I want the person who's the best and I'm willing to pay more for it." We recently had one of our members close a deal, the highest rate he's ever charged. Plus, he had an upside of taking a percentage of revenue attributed to marketing. He was higher priced than everyone else in straight cash compensation every month. Plus, he had the upside and he won that deal because he's the best. So a business owner knows, like, if it takes me an extra month or two with someone cheaper, it's the same cost as paying the higher priced person instead. So they move with the higher priced person. So you want to be the best. You want to elevate yourself to the number one position. So where do you find your first or next client? You might be thinking you want to get one. Start with referrals. I know you're like looking for like some genius insight, but you got to start with referrals. But the problem is that referrals can't scale. So when you start with a referral, you just tell people what you're up to and say, "Who do you know that I should talk to?" It's that simple. But you can't scale that, right? You can't have those conversations with the same person every week for the next 2 years. You can ask them once or twice, then you got to cool off for a bit. So there's the people that you know and the people that you don't know. When my business tanked at kind of the start of my fractional CMO journey, when I went up to 23,000 a month and I kind of lost most of it down to about 3,000 a month, I didn't have people I could call and say, "Hey, dude, remember when we used to work together? You want to hire me again?" That didn't exist. I had to go out to strangers. The magic is being able to convert strangers. If you can convert strangers into paying customers, you're going to win at life. It is magic. It is like literal magic. I can talk to someone who I've never spoken to before. I can build trust. I can showcase my expertise. I can get them to desire to work with me. I can have them ask me what it looks like for us to work together. I can share my fee. They turn back to me and say, "That makes sense." And then it's up to them to be able to afford it or if now's the right time. But like, if you can get there, and I'm not saying like you're going to trick clients into paying you, none of that stuff. You give them clarity on what you're doing, how you might be able to help them. You share your price. They say the magic words, "That makes sense," or "I can understand that." It doesn't matter if they can afford it or not, as long as they understand it. If they can't afford it, then it's just the wrong prospect. You're never going to sell them. They're unsellable. So being able to convert people you don't know is magic. And you can't live in a world where you're going to say, "Casey, I really just want to be in a relationship where someone else finds business for me." because you're going to have skinny kids. You're going to be stuck being anemic on business. You're going to have roller coasters where you make a lot of money one month and the next month you're scraping by, hardly able to pay for your base necessities like your rent or mortgage and your car payment and your Netflix and all that stuff. Like it gets tight. You have to commit to being the person that builds a pipeline. You have to. Like this is a requirement for you. And I guess it would be a different business model if all I did was like give people business. But obviously, I wouldn't be able to help you because I don't know if I could find a gig for you. You got to go understand your market and be the person and create an attraction so that people want to work with you. That is the secret. That's where you want to be. My best CMOs, people are coming to them, wanting to work with them. That's where you want to be. You don't want them to come to me and then me pass them to you, right? You want them to come to you directly. So the secret is not selling implementation. You want to sell them marketing strategy and marketing leadership. So we can think of three things that we do in marketing: strategy, leadership, implementation. Strategy, leadership, implementation. I do marketing strategy. I do marketing leadership. If I had to do just one of them, I would do marketing leadership. I can get strategy from other places. I can get strategy from a YouTube video. I can get strategy from a consultant. I can get strategy anywhere. But when it comes to building and leading the team, that's on me. That's what I sell. I don't sell implementation. I'm not rolling up my sleeves and building the website out for you. No way. The implementation work for me kind of stops at, I'll write the job description, I'll write the delegation filter, but I won't do the labor. If you find yourself in this position, you don't have to work the 40 hours a week. You can work 10 hours a week or less, serving those clients at a high level because you're providing strategy and leadership. And then you have a full department that the client pays for that does the implementation. This is an important note. I've seen a bastardization of the term fractional CMO. And what it looks like is folks that are like, they say, I'm a fractional CMO and I'm going to charge the client 10 grand a month. And then I'm going to go hire a copywriter and a website builder and a video editor. And I'm going to pay them out of that 10 grand. And whatever's left over, I keep. It's a terrible model for this. It's terrible. I see those people go upside down. Some months they owe money despite having worked and orchestrated all this stuff. Like that is the wrong model. You can't live that life. If you're a fractional CMO, you're going to charge a flat fee. 5 grand, 7,500, 10 grand, 15 grand, 22,500, whatever you want to charge, whatever the market will bear, you're going to charge that as a fee. It comes to you every single month like clockwork. It just keeps coming and you show up and you provide strategy, leadership. And then the team does all the implementation. Very important you get that one right. You get that one wrong and that's going to constitute all the problems in your life. If you're like subcontracting folks because you want to make a VIG of $1,000 here or $500 there. Don't play that game. Go make big money. Don't make small money. So above all, you got to stop talking and you just got to commit. You got to focus and you got to do so many reps, have so many conversations, stay in the game long enough that it becomes unreasonable to not be successful. If there's something I see, it's that people give up. It's that comic of a guy with a pickaxe digging and he's like an inch away from all the rubies and gold and he gives up. I see that time and time again. We just had a member just kind of like, I don't know, make it. Had a client a year ago, was kind of struggling, had another client, it was like getting paid a percentage of revenue, but they had no revenue, but it felt good because she had equity, right? It was just noise to now making big money every single month, like clockwork, closing new clients, onboarding them like a champ. So let's talk about how to build momentum in 2026. You got to commit to a niche. Number one, commit to a niche. If you don't commit to a niche, you're not notable. You're not known for anything. I'll give you an example while I drink this pineapple juice. I live in an old house, 100-year-old house. I'm in Philadelphia. And we have radiators, or as they call them out here, radiators. And I needed a new boiler. I had a tech come over a couple of years ago when we bought the house and they were like, it looks kind of old. And then a tech came back and he's like, you should probably get it done. And then not long ago, a tech came over. He's like, if it was my family, I wouldn't feel safe. It's like, okay, fine, I'll replace it. So I look and who is going to do the replacement work for my boiler? Well, I have like two major options. One option is any of the HVAC companies. I got vans driving all around my neighbors' houses. I've seen these guys before. There's so many different, brands, franchises, whatever. I could go with those. Or I could go with a specific group who actually installed it. And it was the father who had installed it. His brother built the manifold. The son came out because his father is now out of the business. And the son checked everything out and was like, I know my uncle's work. He did it this way and this reason, all this stuff. And they laid out a quote. And their quote was more expensive than if I went with someone else. But these guys knew it. They were the right people. They are 100% the right person because they are niched down into the type of steam boilers, the Dan Holohan style of steam boilers. Some nerdy stuff. But I could go with like the cheaper approach, or I could get it done right. I'm really proud of us for getting it done right. We've got a beautiful setup. This has been a great winter. It's been freezing cold. And the boiler's like working like clockwork. That's committing to a niche. I paid a premium to get what I believe to be a better product. Could another team have done the same thing? Yeah. Would they have been $10,000 cheaper? Yeah. But I still think I was right to make the decision I made. You have to commit to a niche. If you're not like that, then you're just an anybody guy, anybody gal. Like you can solve any problems. How boring is that? I don't know when to bring you in. I don't know when you're the right fit. When a company says, Casey, you got a CMO that's really good at this. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I got this Becky, but she just does a lot of stuff. If you said, I'm focused in this industry and I'm the master of this niche, you go to the conferences, you network with the people there, you really know the niche inside and out, you know tricks. That's going to make you more powerful. I like the franchise space. Here's something that a lot of people don't know about franchise. The franchise disclosure document is not typically available. They kind of hide that. But the state of Wisconsin publicizes it. They actually publish all the FDDs on the Wisconsin franchise disclosure document search site. So if a franchise exists in Wisconsin, I can get the FDD. If you didn't follow what I said there, I have intel that I know because I'm in the space long enough to like know some of these tricks. You probably have tricks like that too. You know that if you work in healthcare, you can't use Google Analytics because that's not HIPAA compliant, and you know to use Matomo or Piwik or something. Like you have these tricks that make you more valuable. The second thing is you have to have this deep understanding of the niche. It's critical. The deep understanding of the niche is like knowing how it works, knowing who the movers and shakers are, really becoming an expert here, not treating this as like some flash in the pan weekend idea, but really something that you're committed to. And then you got to talk to strangers. And there's a way to do it. There's a process to do it to make them want to talk to you. But talking to strangers, building real relationships is critical. And then just making more offers. You got to go out there and make offers. And the offers, you will get yeses at some point. Sometimes the yeses will surprise you. Sometimes the no's will surprise you. But your ability to make offers, share what you're doing, give people the good news, give them the opportunity to ask more, ask about cost, is how you get there. So if you're not making offers because you're hiding, you're not going to close anything. If you're just dreaming about this, you're not going to win. If you haven't commit to a niche and you're saying, man, it's just too hard for me to commit, you got to commit. Commit for 90 days. That's what we do for our CMOs. They come in, I work with them, I help them clarify a niche and really like the sub part of the niche that's probably most valuable for them. And then they commit to it for a minimum of 90 days. And by and large, I just got a message from a member. He committed to a weird niche, iGaming, like gambling, like online gambling. Total new world for me. I knew nothing about it. He totally kind of educated me on that. It's very, very interesting. And he put his head down and he just told me he's got 2 clients paying him $12,000 a month. It's killer. It took him a minute to get there, but it's there, it's sustainable, it's real, and he's built a moat around himself that makes it harder for other people to come and, kind of close in on his business. He's the guy, he's got more reps than other people, and because he's staying in the game, he'll be more valuable. And remember, you're still early. This is the best time to build your practice. Yeah, Q4 was great. Don't get me wrong. We saw a lot of sales happen in Q4. Q1, also great. I love making sales all year long. I mean, you saw that first sale I made with Jason happened in July. It's the middle of the summer. I was at my parents' house in the basement on my laptop, and I was like, yeah, 7,500 sound good? And he's like, cool, can you start on Monday? So people still hire you all year long, but right now is a great time. We're seeing the 2026 budgets are defined and they're getting rolled out and they have money to spend. They want to hire you. So if you want to win, you got to surround yourself with winners. This is a truism in life. If you want to get better at chess, study with the greats. If you want to get better at copywriting, study with the greats. If you want to get great, at being a fractional CMO, be there with people in the game. Here's Mandy. Mandy's stacked with deals right now. She's based in Toronto. She's working hard. I don't want to say that she's not working hard. She's working her butt off. She just said that her husband's taken over all the finances in the family and she's just working. And she's going to clear $40,000 this month. maybe 50,000. We'll have to see. She's got a deal or two that could close in the next couple of days that would push her over 50,000 a month in collections. It's a beautiful thing. We got Sean. Sean's great. Sean's got a number of kids. Sean's been in the accelerator for about a year, and he made more money as a fractional CMO working half the time in 2025 than he did as a full-time employee in 2024. And he's making a great income, definitely a solid income. He's making more money as a fractional CMO in half the time. He's got all these kids too, so he gets to spend more time with them. He gets to be like a present dad, not someone who's just like always on calls. It's a big deal. If you're at that inflection point in life where you want to spend more time with your family, it's kind of like being a fractional CMO is probably it. You got Lisa. I love Lisa's commitment. She's really inspiring. She struggled to get her first client, and then she landed it. And she and I had a one-on-one, and she goes, you know what, Casey, I'm never going back. I'm never going back to corporate. I'm just never going back. One deal was more than 50% of her top earning year. She closes 2 clients. She's exceeded her top earnings, and she's not driving to the office and getting dressed up. She doesn't have to spend time flying around and doing stuff. She works from home, and she has this great lifestyle. And that's possible for you. That's what I'm excited about. But you got to start early. I think it's going to be hard when that market really starts maturing. If you're late and you're not an early adopter, like right now where we are, the longer you wait, the more competition there's going to be, and the harder it is going to be able to break in. But right now, it's just like, it's the moon in the 40s. Someone was like, we should put a flag on that moon. You can go do that. You can go declare that an industry or a niche is yours, and then you go prove it by being the best, working the hardest, really understanding the market. And you can build something lasting. What I mean by lasting is you can build something that pays you well. Or if you want, you can bring in other fractional CMOs to work underneath you, and you can just go win the business. Then the fractional CMOs serve underneath you. That's fun. If you got a member right now, she just left her full-time job. I actually talked to her and her husband, and we had like just a real honest conversation. She's like, I'm thinking about, leaving my job. I got to talk to the two of them and kind of have the conversation around what would it look like if she left her full-time job, who's paying for health insurance. She shares that she's pregnant. And we talk about this whole process, and she's building herself to a place where she can be present with her kid at home instead of being strapped to her desk for 40, 50 hours a week for a client. So I think that that's a pretty big deal to be able to have that level of freedom. Also, for the members inside the accelerator, I keep fighting for them. I fight for you. So I've been closing larger and larger clients with longer term commitments. And I get a cut of the upside at exit. That's the game I'm playing. I'm like, pay me every month, but really pay me at exit. And that's where I want to make just really big outcomes for me and my family. As a result, I think I continue to win the biggest rates of anyone else in the market. I'm just at the top. And you get to see what that's like. It's funny. A year ago, I wrote my second book, Find Your CMO. And when I wrote that, I launched it in like November of 2024. I had spent that year kind of thinking like, what do I do with the AI stuff? Do I leave fractional CMO? Is this the thing for me? Is it not? And I kind of backed off of client work. And after I finished that book, I was like, damn, I'm so like excited about this. I went and won a client. That client I'm sticking with for 2 years with a contractual exit at the end of this year with a big payday. Awesome. Won another client, long-term commitment, high rates, and then won a third client just recently, a couple months ago. And we're going to stick around together for 3 years with a big exit there. I share what I'm doing. I share the results that I have. We're all very like open and honest about everything inside of the accelerator, and specifically Boardroom. These are for the folks doing $10,000 a month or more. They're in a WhatsApp chat, and the WhatsApp's on fire. We've got jokes. We're having fun. We've got people going through different things, in their life. Divorces, cancer, like all sorts of stuff. It's like it's a real group of people, but we're all in the same game. We're all fighting for the same thing, and we're sharing what's working. Someone's like, "Oh, I just shot out this message on LinkedIn that worked." They share it. Everyone else can try it. We're always sharing new techniques and things like that. I think it's awesome. There's no place quite like the CMO X Boardroom. I mean, to the point where like it's 11:30 at night and people are chatting, or it's Sunday morning and people are chatting. Everyone's just staying active. So I want you to see that I'm not a guru on a mountain, right? I'm just a guy in the trenches, breaching past the walls and giving you the map to get to my level faster without the scars. It took me a long time to get here. I think I started in 2017. That's 9 years ago. That's like 8 years ago. It's taken me a while to get here. I'm seeing our members speed run here in a lot faster time and get to $40,000 a month. The number for me that I want them to hit is like $42,000 a month. That gets them right at $500,000 a year. I think that's an awesome place to be. So do you want my help in building and scaling your fractional CMO practice? If you do, I'd love to tell you how. Here's some folks. Here's a member. She got a $16,000 a month engaged client. Another one got a $10,000 a month client in real estate SaaS. Here's another member. She's like, I want a badass truck and I want a badass Airstream and I want to drive around the country. And she did it. And she bought it and she took off and worked remote from the road. I mean, it's awesome. That's a level of freedom. Daphne says you have the potential to get your return on investment just with 1 or 2 clients. Sam's an accomplished business owner. He had Groove Shark, and he found that after that business kind of went under, it was a big music business. It was going to be Spotify. Spotify kind of took over. You could look up Groove Shark, but Sam's a killer entrepreneur. And he said he kind of lost his why. And by joining the accelerator, he kind of learned who he was again, found problems he'd love to solve, and he stuck with it, and he's doing great. Becky started off at low monthly rates. Her rates were incredibly low. I think her first rate that she charged a client was below $2,000. It took her a little while, but she got that to $2,000, $4,000, $6,000 and above, and made more money as a fractional CMO than she ever did in her corporate role. So she started at a different place, right? And she worked her way up. So the question to you is, what's one client worth to you? If you've got a client that you're working with, what we call in the advisor role, where you're working with them every other week, you meet for 90 minutes, maybe you charge $4,000 for that. That one client is worth $48,000 per year for you. It's a lot of money. Or you could spend more time with the client, like 10 hours a week, and maybe you're charging $15,000 a month for that. And that's going to be $180,000 a year. And these are real numbers. These are real numbers that people are doing. I don't know if you'll do them, but they are real numbers that members are closing at. 15,000 is less common. I would say 12,000 is more common, 10,000, certainly. But the 4,000 for advisor, absolutely all day long. So if you think about the money that you could make, we've got 5 seats left to join us inside the CMOs Accelerator in February. We're limiting the seats. We've got some really great folks in. We just onboarded some real killers, people who have deep experience, like Fortune 500 experience. But we also have ragtag marketers who have just been in the game for years. I can think of one of our members who's in the community banking space. And he held some titles in the community banking space, but was never the VP of the big bank. Yet he got it. He understands what to do, and he's had a lot of wins, and he's able to go serve clients and deliver really good outcomes to them. And instead of them paying full time for him, they pay for him fractionally, and he has a great lifestyle. It makes a lot of the money. The math with it is if you're full time, let's say $100,000 a year, my fractional rate would be a quarter of the hours for half the money. So if I was $100,000 a year, I'm going to charge you $50,000 for 10 hours. That's basic math, I think. That way you can make the same amount of money in half the time, or you can make twice the amount of money and then push it up from there. So I want to invite you, if you think you have what it takes to be a CMOX member, if you want to be in, if you want to be the kind of person who works hard, don't get me wrong, is courageous and goes out and talks to strangers, but follows a process and wins clients and serves the clients and has fun and delivers great outcomes for their clients, and then makes a great lifestyle and gets to interact with other great people that are doing the same stuff. If you want to be in that group, we'd love to talk to you and see if we can help you. You can go to cmox.com/call and book in with Justin on my team. Thank you for sticking around for the full episode. As you know, learners are earners, but you've got to take action on what you heard today. For more information and show notes, visit fractionalcmoshow.com. If you'd like me to answer your questions on an upcoming episode, you can share your question at fractionalcmoshow.com. And last, please hit the like and subscribe button so that I know that this content is helpful to you. All right, go get them.